What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on the Hard Count, the transfer portal. It gives and it takes. How should the Texas Longhorns approach the transfer portal? Welcome into CFB with JD, the people's channel for every single thing you know and love about college football. It happens on this channel, happens nearly every single day. You drive the show, Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie, they do the actual heavy lifting for how this whole thing operates. Also want to mention, my Twitter, at JD Piquel, is very much tied to our operation here. We do polls, we post questions, we tie in a lot of that input into this show in terms of topics. So feel free to follow, to add, and stay up with everything we're doing here on this channel. So, University of Texas at Austin is in a very interesting predicament. You went 5-7 a season ago, and you are now moving into an era where NIL gives you a lot of power. The transfer portal caters to revamping your program in a very quick fashion. And so for Texas, I don't think you need to wait 3 years to be good again. I don't think you need to wait really that long at all based on what you have on your roster. But all I'm saying is long gone are the days where you have to get the right recruiting class in and wait for those freshmen to mature. And hopefully, around their junior season, you find out that you struck gold and you end up competing for an exciting bowl game. Those days are long gone. Right now, you can say, hey, you from Alabama, you from Texas A&M, you from LSU, you're all on our team now. Let's go play. It really is college football free agency. And so what a lot of you put into the chat or put into the comment section was, hey, talk more about the transfer portal. Give us more of an idea of what teams should be doing, what you think teams should leverage in order to get those players. So we're just going to break down some approaches for Texas as well as some targets that I think they need to go after within the portal itself. So first and foremost, the mantra for Texas when it comes to the transfer portal, this should be for any program, but especially Texas, get good in and get bad out. I know that sounds very obvious, that sounds very elementary, but for Texas, it is paramount. And so far, from a bird's eye view, it seems like they've done a good job of getting good in. Quinn Ewers, who is, by most accounts, especially in the scouting world, a generational talent, one of the best quarterbacks to ever be graded in the scouting era, or in the modern era, I should say. Also, you got Jaleel Billingsley, who didn't put forth a great effort for Alabama in the national title game, but I think he knew he was already going into the portal. He had some he had some issues, it sounds like, with that staff, with Saban, whatever it may be. I don't want to speculate too much, but whatever you want to say, very, very talented player, and he's now on your football team. So, from a strictly talent perspective, those are two big gets. We're not going to name names so much in terms of guys that are transferring out because I don't want to speculate as to their reasons, but it seems like guys that don't want to be there are now no longer there. That's great. Continue to allow that to happen, whether it's for recruiting guys for the positions that need to leave or whether it's continuing to set the high standard of, hey, this is how we're going to do it at Texas. I don't know what you thought old Texas was. That's long gone. If you can't roll with it, like Bo Davis was saying, in not so many words, get in the portal. That's first and foremost. In terms of actual targets, there's a lot of things that I think you would benefit from revamping at Texas. But the first thing that I'm looking at is the defensive trenches, that front seven. Because we've seen in this modern era of college football, that's what wins championships. A couple nights ago, Alabama and Georgia squared up, went toe-to-toe, played for all the marbles. Both of those teams, they had a lot of talent on the perimeter, had a lot of talent at quarterback for Alabama, had enough talent in the backfield for Georgia. But the trenches is what allowed them to be in that game, in my mind. So Texas, they gave up 5.2 yards a carry in 2021. That's good for like 114th in the country. That is so far below the standard that Steve Sarkisian has set for this program and so far below where they need to be in order to compete for what they want to compete for. So two targets I'm looking at very squarely. Ochaun Mathis, defensive end from TCU, and Mekhi Wingo, the defensive lineman from Missouri. We'll go player for player here. Ochaun Mathis, he's a crystal ball in right now for Texas, according to 24/7 Sports. The interesting thing is, could he follow Gary Patterson to UT? Words that I never thought I would say when this season began back in August. But now Gary Patterson's going to be an analyst for the Burnt Orange. Ochaun Mathis, one of the best players available right now. I believe he's the number 6 player available in terms of, the free agency that is college football right now. He would add a lot of speed. He would bolster a pass rush. He's a big body, can help with stopping the run. You benefit a lot. You're better on the defensive line with Ochaun Mathis. Mekhi Wingo, D-line from Missouri. He's from Missouri. He has no crystal ball projections in right now, but he would be an enormous get for the Longhorns. The comp for him, according to 24/7 Sports, is a guy like Jarrell Casey, a run stopper. He's also extremely athletic. Against North Texas this year, he caught a tip pass, made an interception, and took it all the way to the crib. I mean, the dude has burners. So he would be someone that would be great not only to rush the passer with that speed from like a 3 technique or a nose position, but also with how big he is, he can stop the run. I think he's like the 4th ranked uncommitted player right now. He's someone that you should be excited about in Texas if you're able to get him on your roster. We're kind of speculating there with how much smoke there is for him to go to UT. But again, if you're just targeting the best players, Mekhi Wingo, the guy you should look at. Now, a guy that there is some smoke around, another Alabama transfer, Jayla Mudia, an Alabama linebacker who is now in the portal. Like I just mentioned, took an official visit to Texas this past weekend. He was a 3-star coming out of high school. You're betting more than anything on Steve Sarkisian's assessment of him because obviously Sarkisian, come from Alabama, knows Jalen Moody. I'm not really caught up into the ranking for this kid as much as, hey, he went to Alabama. If you don't cut it at Alabama, guess what? You probably still start at 90% of programs around the country. You want to be a stickler, 85% of the programs around the country. So I'm not docking him for leaving Alabama. The fact that Alabama wanted him on their roster says a lot to me and says all I need to know. If you add him to your front 7, you are a better football team. You need to be able to set the tone defensively. The old adage, if they don't score, you win. In today's college football era, if they can't run the ball and if you can get after their quarterback, you have a really good chance at winning. So I want to see Texas revamp there in the portal. I think that should be priority number 1. One more thing I want to say about Texas before we get out of here. NIL is a very fragile piece of this equation right now for the transfer portal. Because Texas, it's no secret, they have the biggest athletic budget in the country. They have unbelievable support from their boosters financially. And in today's day and age, they have a lot of leverage with the NIL. I mean, we already saw what they did with the offensive linemen, getting them $50,000 a year through some other company. Guys are getting paid at UT. Commits to other schools are saying they were turned off by that because when they went and spoke with Texas, it was just about money. So if you saw Spider-Man, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but if you've seen any of the Spider-Mans, Uncle Ben says, Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's the exact same advice I would give to University of Texas. With great NIL power comes great NIL responsibility. And what I mean is you need to be careful to not get kids in the door that are more excited about NIL than they are about playing football. Because that's great to get kids on campus. That's great to get them on your roster. That helps your rankings. That helps your excitement around the program. But if they're only coming there for the NIL benefits, that's a huge red flag. That doesn't translate to the football field all the time. And I think we've seen in recent years, not NIL specifically, but things that are maybe loosely tied to NIL, whether it be branding, getting a blue check mark, being a Texas football player, that can matter more to some of the guys that were on the roster that didn't perform well, didn't allow Texas to be what they should be, as opposed to playing football. So if you can get the right guys, NIL is your best friend. If NIL is your only selling point, I would be a little bit concerned. I'm not passing judgment yet. A lot of things to be unraveled, a lot of things to be uncovered, and I'm excited to see Texas, what they do in the portal. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. Again, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter at JD Pickell to stay with every single thing we're doing about this channel as we move into the college football preseason. Not the offseason. We are now into the preseason. We'll keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.